Well, how should we start this?
I think that's a good start.
Okay. Well, it's good to be here today.
Yes, it is. It is always good to be here. This
Wherever here is, it's good to be here.
we're in your ears. Ryan is the person not talking,
I am Ryan. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today?
and his little brother is Ruben.
Yes, he's my youngest brother. He is the youngest brother, but he's not the littlest brother.
And Ryan is my youngest and littlest brother.
If you can follow that, you should be good for this podcast.
Going the distance, the Rocky films. So Ryan had an idea.
And the idea was, what do I like to talk about and what am I passionate about? And, I'm not a woodworker. I don't paint. I don't build small items with toothpicks. So
I'm learning so much about you.
I enjoy podcasts. That's the thing. I actually enjoy listening to podcasts. I have about 5 or 6 different podcasts on my phone at any time that I shuffle through. As I've gotten older, I enjoy talking and being talked to by people almost more than music. I thought, well, what can I talk about and what do I like? And I love Rocky. And anyone that knows me and anyone that's listening to this that knows me from outside, my walls knows that I love Rocky. So we're going to talk about Rocky.
I too love Rocky. Ryan doesn't really believe me.
Well, I do believe you, and I honestly thought you just. Shall I say this?
No, just to say it. Gloves are off.
Wow, the first boxing pun of many. I hope many. Well, if we're gonna go toe to toe during this podcast,
Put me against the ropes.
Okay, well, I'll never count you out. That being said, I thought you tolerated Rocky. If that makes sense, that you thought it was cute. If that, Does that make sense?
I don't know if anybody has ever thought Rocky to be cute.
Well, adorable even, like a character that people, you can see why people would enjoy it, but I never knew what your level was of Rocky.
Truthfully, everybody shows their appreciation for something differently. Like when I was a kid, I was like really, really into whatever band, and like everybody knew it. For movies, I always enjoyed them, never really got into them. Watching them over and over again. Actually, I don't watch movies over and over again.
True. Okay. I didn't really know that about you.
However, I have seen all the Rockies multiple times. So out of all the movies that I've watched multiple times would be Rocky. Probably the only movie that I've watched the most above any other movie is Better Off Dead, John Cusack. It's like a 1980s movie.
Well, I know the movie. I'm just trying to find the correlation. I think we just lost half our audience. So we just put the same level of you value the Rocky movies as much as the John Candy 1980s.
No, John Cusack.
That's even worse. Okay, well,
Better Off Dead.
I know the movie you're
He's
talking
like
about.
a teen,
yes,
who can't find his place in the school.
I haven't seen it.
His obese neighbors are very annoying. Because that was like anybody that was obese in the 80s was also annoying.
Well, of course. They go hand in hand.
Which, of course, they don't. Because if that was true, then we would have just lost everybody.
We now alienated everybody. So I actually have not seen Better Off.
Yeah,
Ted.
so
I do know the title. The clever, I guess his name
No,
was...
not Ted. Better Off Ted is a TV show.
Oh, my goodness.
Better Off Dead.
Okay.
John Cusack.
So was he dead?
No, it's the same.
Well, why would he...
Life would be better off. If he was dead, life would be better.
Wow.
Because life was so difficult as a teenager.
Okay, so
and then a French foreign exchange student,
of course,
comes in with the obese family.
Okay.
And then they have a connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen Better Off Dead with John Cusack as many, if not more times, in the Rocky films.
Yes, but it never changed my life. Never inspired me. Rocky does.
Good. Well, good. I think if you guys haven't turned off the podcast, we've brought you back in. We want you here. We need you here.
Ryan's going to say, please edit that out.
No, keep that, please. We want to let you know that as we talk about Rocky, there might be times that we go on tangents. I am also known for my tangents, so people that know me for Rocky. My love for Rocky, and I do love to talk, and I can go off on tangents. I hope you're okay with that, brother Ruben.
Yes, it'd be a very hard podcast if you didn't talk.
Okay, well, good.
So I on a side note, I host another podcast called Always Hungry podcast. I interviewed Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk, and let me tell you, interviewing a deaf person that doesn't talk at all makes for a horrible podcast.
Yes.
So I appreciate the fact that you're going to be talking.
Yes.
So Lou, you've been working out for 52 years. What motivates you? My passion. Thanks, Lou.
That's good. Well, passion is important. And he was great in King of Queens, and he was great as the Hulk. He was also great on Celebrity Apprentice. I don't know if you ever saw him.
Yeah, he's a big Trump. He's a Trump supporter.
Yeah, and in fact, his personality on Celebrity Apprentice. No offense, Lou.
I don't think he'll be listening. If he is, if you're offended, it's just because you're hard of hearing.
Yes, it's true.
Everything else is as positive.
He had a bit of a temper. So, like his character, the Hulk,
Oh, really?
Yes, he got angry. Yeah.
That's a side note.
That is a side.
Yeah, I'll be seeing actually Lou live in a couple of weeks, so maybe we'll come back to this Lou.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. The good Lou.
So back to Rocky, we're going to be doing three. Every movie has about 3 acts: the beginning, the problem, and the resolution. And so for each movie of the Rocky series, Rocky 1 through 7, 7 is also known as Creed. We're going to be doing 3 episodes for each one. So this episode, we'll be talking about the first act of Rocky.
Now, if you were to say to yourself, listeners, when do you think the first act ends? Think for a second. I was wrong about where the first act ended, according to some of the screenplay gurus out there. I thought the first act ended when. Spoiler alert! I hope you see this movie. In fact, we should talk about that.
All spoilers.
Maybe
all is
this. Every episode will be spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Rocky does not win the fight at the end of Rocky 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
went
I just went right.
You spoiled the movie from 1976.
I figure, was it 40 years should be enough time to blow the lid off that. Yeah, please, by all means, watch. We recommend you watch, rewatch, or even, like me, if you've just seen them 1,000 times, you can follow along. We're just happy that you're here in the journey. But it might be good to look ahead at the episodes ahead and rewatch these things and get a kick out of what we have to say.
Act 1 of Rocky is the most important of all of the Rockies because it sets up that Rocky, which then, of course, sets up all consecutive 6 that follow. Now, the very first scene of Rocky 1 is what?
It's the picture, it's Jesus.
So why do you think that was?
I know Stallone is religious, and I know he hasn't always been.
So he's Roman Catholic.
He's Roman Catholic, yes. Italian, so maybe it goes without saying. He's.
I think that's racist, Ryan.
No, it's not racist. It's just profiling. It's interesting in the Rocky series. The 2 of his main antagonists were of the non-white descent.
Wow, that was very, very difficult for you to say.
So, but okay, so the first scene we have is a picture of Jesus looking down upon the fighters. It pans out, and we see Rocky going toe-to-toe with the legendary, the one and only Spider Rico. I don't think Spider was his given name at his birth. In fact, Rocky was not his given name.
Oh, what's his given name?
Well, I'll have to dig a little bit deeper, and in fact, let's talk about this. Those who listen, we're going to have a Facebook page. Please, by all means, catch us on our own flubs, catch us on our own mistakes. Let's talk about what we said wrong. We should mention that we are fans, but we might not be subject matter experts.
If they haven't figured it out already.
Yes. Spider Rico, I would say, is not his given name. And Rocky, his actual name, spoiler alert, was mentioned. Here's a little bit of trivia. We're going further ahead in Rocky 5.
Oh.
Robert was his given name. It's never mentioned why he took the name Rocky, but we know that he was a huge Rocky Marciano. That's right, thank you. Fan. I was afraid to pronunciate that because I knew when that was coming out. Rocky Marciano fan.
He's dead.
He is dead.
Yeah, you don't need to be afraid of him anymore.
Okay, that's true. and who is a real life boxer. So they implemented the. So I always found that interesting as a young viewer, back before Google, when I was a young kid, that the Rocky character also had the name. It actually kind of confused me as a kid that the Rocky character had the Rocky name of a real Rocky or a boxer named Rocky. So it was kind of confusing, but I guess within the universe of the movie, maybe he emulated and took that name on himself. But it's never mentioned.
No, I think that's what you get from it. We haven't talked a little bit about the opening thing.
Oh, sorry.
Of Jesus being there. I think he's Catholic, but you have the birth, the death, and the resurrection.
Oh, okay. Of
So
the character.
of the character. So I don't think it was like, well, we're gonna. I think
where do we catch him as a character right now? Near death?
Death. I think he's
defeated.
He's defeated.
He's defeated.
He's like a.
He is down.
He's down. He's like a Bruce Springsteen song. Down on his luck, ready to make something happen.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea that we don't see his birth per se. We'll see obviously his rebirth, his ambition, his lot in life is. He's just going through the motions. What I liked about this opening scene was, of course, the grungy. It's not glamorous. It's literally almost barbaric in a way. A street fight with gloves in the ring. You got people catcalling from the audience. You have garbage being thrown in the ring mid-match. I like the idea that bets were being made mid-match. Like a guy came up to him his corner and said, "Hey, do you think you're gonna win this next round? Because I got money on this, or I got money. Like, you know, do you want to knock this guy out now so I can make extra money?" So it's just the whole operation is a little bit seedy.
Yeah, and that's his career.
Right. This is it. This is his career. So the fight goes on, and we see a little bit of spark. Do you recall why the spark? How he ended the match?
No, I don't.
Got the headbutt. Got the dirty. So this shows a little bit of a dirty fighting in the ring. That you got the headbutt from Spider Rico, and then the what we see in the future, that Rocky muscle and kind of manpower beast got kicked just a little bit as he pummeled Spider Rico to the canvas. All right, so after the fight was over, he goes into the locker, and I found this interesting that I wanted to take note of what they made. $17 went to the loser after the locker fee and what have you, and then $40 went to Rocky, the winner of that fight. And it seems like he was only going to make this every 2 weeks. That's about $175 in today's money. So he's making about $175 or $350 every 2 weeks.
You got to supplement your income then.
He did, and he did it as
a loan shark.
Collector.
Loan collector. Yeah,
loan shark
yeah,
collector.
loan shark's the person that loans it out.
Gazzo.
Great
secondary character, Gazzo.
You know that guy just loved playing Gazzo.
He loved playing Gazzo.
You just could tell he just reveled in it.
And I think he had a stint in maybe The Godfather. So the same school of movies, the same type of the mafia, 1970s movies, but that, you know, it's almost the character within the character, and he probably had to be he didn't have to change much of himself probably to be Gazzo, the way he spoke.
Oh, probably not.
Rocky's now leaving the match, walking home, and he passes some singers. I think a lot of fans know the "Take Me Back."
Do 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 do, take me back.
Well, I've been told by.
That's the longest we've ever sung together.
Oh, people and they all see the "Take Me Back." Okay, so I cannot sing, and
you're on your own.
Frank Stallone Jr. Was one of the men standing on the street corner, singing that song. In fact, the lead vocalist was Frank Stallone. I'm 99% sure it's Frank Stallone Jr. Standing on the street corner singing, and Rocky says, "Hey, you guys are getting better every year." So kind of a little bit of background. These guys are like a fixture.
Yes.
Which I find interesting. I wonder when it ended. You know, so it's been going on for at least a few years for Rocky to make the comment, "Hey, you guys sound better every year." But there would have been a year that it ended.
Yeah, oh yeah. Maybe they're still there. Maybe there's like that one
guy.
Yeah.
They'd be fairly old at this point, but yeah, they're still taking me back. And now we enter Stallone's apartment.
Yes.
A little bit. Well, I guess we'll talk about it when we get to Rocky 3. But that do. This is for a real Rocky nerd. I keep saying Stallone. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to probably say Stallone Rocky throw. But
it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
When Rocky gave his gift to Adrian, her birthday gift, I think it was, her anniversary or birthday gift, on their bed, and it was jewelry or something, and he went do do do, and she sang with him very awkwardly. It's a very awkward scene. It's one of the most awkward scenes in the Rocky series. When
Well, that's one of the great things about Adrian.
is
Is
she
the awkwardness. She just
she embodied it very
yeah,
well.
Yeah,
And so she's going do 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 do, and she messed up the, and the Rocky's like, no no no, it's do do do, almost like it's a weird like imitating life art like we
Yeah.
as an audience know the song from the movies,
Mhm.
but the character Rocky knows the tune from the streets. So it's such a tune that he's heard for so many years on the street corner that he actually implemented into his personal life.
Well, yeah, it's part of him.
Right.
Yeah, I think it also shows like he's the street like
Even
that,
though
all that's part of me. What I liked about that of introducing the character of him winning the fight, going home to his tiny apartment, living by himself, is that everybody in the neighborhood likes him.
Yeah, he's a fixture.
He's also a fixture, but he's got nobody.
Correct. It's a very lonely existence.
Yeah,
He's lonely.
is it? Yeah,
I wouldn't even say he was so much. He's probably at peace. I think almost with his loneliness, in the sense like I don't think he tries to. And when I say lonely, I don't mean it in a pathetic. But he's not singing on the street corner with the guys.
I think it's the part of I think anybody's life where you're putting one foot in front of the other and trying to make the best of it.
We should mention his age.
Was it 30?
30.
30, yeah.
And that was actually Stallone's age
when he was
made
doing
the
it.
film.
So we mentioned before, Rocky and Stallone are kind of the same person. Obviously, Rocky wrote the film.
Stallone wrote the film.
Yeah, Stallone.
Yeah, Rocky wrote this biography about Sylvester Stallone, about being a down and out actor. And
Yeah, he was a down and out actor.
No, I know about
I know. So let's actually talk about that, because talking about Stallone's career
At this point, it's
at this point reflects the Rocky character. On IMDb.com, his first film credit there
okay.
is the party at Kitty and Studs.
It's Studs. Was it a birthday party?
Well, I think they were wearing birthday suits.
Touche.
And then he
Well, let's talk more about that film. I've seen every film.
I hope there's more to the sentence.
Yeah, don't edit it out because there's ... I've seen every film of Mr. Balboa's or Mr. Stallone's, but I have not seen Party at Kitty and Studs. Though I have read the synopsis.
The synopsis, by the way.
Oh, sure, please do.
Kitty and Stud are lovers.
I hope so.
They enjoy a robust sex life,
Oh wow.
which include fellatio and
Wow.
light S&M. Specifically, Stud. Stud, by the way, is the Rocky's character's name.
Stallone. Boy, we're
Again, he's wanted the same to be. Stud is Stallone's character's name. Belt whipping Kitty. 3 women come over for a party, and Stud services them, one after the other.
yes, and we should just make note. It's for those. Please, I hope we haven't lost half our audience there again. Or
You
even
can't-
though
you can't
even
divide one.
you can't divide one by because somebody has one ear on, one ear off. So, the film is what do I say? I would almost say by today's standards
Okay.
of your average HBO show or whatever. It would be quite tame. Don't let the I haven't seen it. I don't plan on seeing it. It doesn't interest me. But that being said, for the level of what's take it for what it's worth. He says Mr. Stallone has said today that he laughs at but that's where he was. He was so desperate and so poor that he was basically selling himself for a film to. I think it was literally $250. I believe he got paid.
In today's money.
In today's money,
Wow.
yeah.
If you're that poor.
$1,000,
Yeah, that's
so
quite good.
that's a little bit of history there. So we go on to his
Yeah,
next
so he
one.
moved on up. He's got a few movies in the same year, at least that was released, which is Lovers and Other Strangers. He was a wedding guest, uncredited.
Wow,
And then he was a party guest in Pigeons.
he probably wore the same suit.
Oh, yeah. And then No Place to Hide. He played a character named Jerry Savage.
Wow, actually, so yes, is that his other than Stud? Is that his first
That's
name role?
That's his first role there.
I would recommend, and I have done this. It's kind of fun to go to YouTube. Ardent fans of Stallone have clipped out his segments in these little roles of these movies. It's kind of fun to watch his early side.
Why don't we post some of these on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I know one for sure that I've seen is it's coming up. Bananas. That's
Okay.
a Woody Allen film. He played this bigger role because I think he had a little bit of a speaking part, and he mugs or thugs Woody Allen's character, which I think is great.
So we're not going to go into the detail of all the movies. We get the idea.
Small bit parts,
Small
thug
bit
roles.
parts. So No Place to Hide, Bananas, Clute, The Lords of Flatbush.
Okay, well this is an interesting one because he actually had a hand in writing this one.
Oh, okay. So a group of kids in Brooklyn form a gang. From this moment on, they do everything together. This makes things easier, but at the same time, they have to face new problems.
And the Fonz is in this one with them. Henry
Oh,
Winkler.
wow. Yeah, there's Henry Winkler.
Yeah, a little bit of connection
Who
there.
I love. How could you not like Henry
Jumping the
Winkler?
Shark. Henry Winkler, Jumping the Shark.
Yes. And then The Prisoner of Second Avenue, Capone, Death Race 2000,
He played a baddie. He played a bad guy in that one.
then a few other things he's in Kojak, little bit roles.
So what I find amazing is by the time he gets to writing Rocky, he only had $70 in his bank account.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, I mentioned all those roles, but this is just a few $100s between 6 years.
So he's a starving actor.
Yeah, he's starving. That 0% body fat is...
He didn't have to lose a lot of weight probably by the
He
time
didn't have to take special pills or anything. When he wrote Rocky, actually, why don't we just play a clip of him explaining it?
Let's do that.
So this is him on Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert and Stallone talking about how things got rolling for him.
But you were struggling. You were struggling. You were a little bit like Rocky because you were struggling.
Yeah.
You didn't have a dime to your name. You were offered $300,000 to sell the script to Rocky, to have somebody else be in the role. And you said, no, it has to be me. Why was that story so important to you? Why did you write it?
You know, you have a few crossroads in your life, and I just realized that if I was ever going to be successful or at least true to my dreams, this is the part, because I was always being cast as kind of the heavy. I was the one that would mug Jack Lemmon. I would mug Woody Allen. I was the mugger. I mug Kojak. That was like, go get the mugger. So I thought, okay, why don't I take a character who's kind of a mugger, a loan shark, but he also has a lot inside that no one has really seen before. So you combine the two, and out came Rocky.
Great interview, by the way. And tangent, I started watching Colbert because we're such big Letterman fans, but I lost interest in him. I couldn't do it. I get why people like him, and I get why Colbert I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But his style of comedy was just like the Daily Show?
Yeah, I never watched The Daily Show.
And I did a little bit. And again, I get it, but it's still I still don't know who Stephen Colbert is in a way, and it's a weird.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, even though I never watched the other one. But you can tell when someone's being genuine. Like Jimmy Kimmel, that's who you get.
Right.
Kimmel's Kimmel.
Conan's Conan.
Conan's Conan. Jimmy Fallon is whatever they write for him.
Great
Great personality, please. He's
impersonator.
he's a great impersonator. Yes,
That's his trick of the trade.
he impersonates late night talk show hosts
Yes.
very well.
Yeah, he actually impersonates his own job very well. But I only watched Jimmy and Conan, and I miss Dave Letterman. May his beard grow in peace.
Yeah, so Stallone was at the end of his rope, career-wise, 30. Like, I remember being 30.
Oh.
It was a very transitional time, at least emotionally, where you feel all the things that you haven't achieved, feeling the capability inside of you. As an adult, sometimes it sucks to know that you haven't really reached your potential.
Yeah, 30 is a tricky decade to start. I'm now 40. Yeah, I remember as I watched the Rocky movies throughout the years, because I've watched them multiple times, picturing myself at those ages. So I remember being 30 and then watching Rocky, thinking, me as an individual, could I do, and both what Stallone did at this time, and just trying to put myself in his shoes. And at this time, I already had a family, had kids, and so it's an interesting journey when you start reaching the ages of your idols that you grew up with, and start seeing how would I look on screen? Like he's 30 and I'm 30. Boy, if I was casting that role, I don't think I would make the Spider Rico casting. Yeah, 30 is an interesting age, especially for an actor. I think, especially with today's focus on youth and beauty, 30 is like a dinosaur.
Oh, and he didn't really have either. At 30, he's no longer a youth.
You know,
And-
he's got a unique look to him, and let me just say this for the record.
Are you coming out as a heterosexual?
I'm coming out as a heterosexual. But that being said, Stallone's, I find him in his own uniqueness, a handsome man, and especially in this Rocky film. Now, seeing him at 30, that he seems youthful compared to his, age of 69, and I hope I look as good as 69.
But he doesn't have the teen matinee.
No.
Looks.
Oh, he's
That will
what do you
get-
call the Chris Hemsworths and the. That's most for
Who was a teen idol back then in the 70s? Donny Osmond?
Well, that they should make note of this. When he brought the script to the producers that he wrote, let's just most of you know the story, so we don't want to dwell on too much, I guess. But for those that don't know, it's a really good story that we played the clip. They had, the young actors were Burt Reynolds, Ryan O'Neal, I think. So these guys were in their 30s, but they were the young kind of the sex symbols of the time. I don't really know much more who would have been. He mentioned a few other names. I just didn't recognize who they were, but I can imagine him coming in. He probably didn't fit that aesthetic. Mm-hmm. He's short, than probably Burt Reynolds, so he has a shorter physique, and kind of a goofy face. And those who don't know, that slur that he has in the lip was when he was born. They had a drunk doctor use forceps on his head to pull him out, and it pulled a nerve in his face, and so that was nerve damage. Is what he has in his face right now, which has become his unique signature look, I guess you could say. Like Harrison Ford has that scar on his chin.
Yeah.
And I don't think he got that scar from birth, though.
That's a pretty rough birth.
That's a rough birth. He wrote the script. They offered him a lot of money. The amount always seems to change, but it's anywhere from $200,000 to $350,000. And he said, "No, I really want to do this. This is my last hurrah." So really, it's quite the story of how the movie came to be is its own underdog story. And then, of course, we know, spoiler alert, that it won Best Picture that following year. So the underdog story became an underdog story, which became an underdog film, became an underdog at the award season, and it ended up winning Best Picture, Best Director, Best Editing, and Mr. Stallone was nominated for Best Actor. I think all the categories had nominations. I think Burt Young was nominated.
Bill Conti.
Bill Conti was nominated for music. Talia Shire was nominated for supporting actress. I think it was one of those ones where it just swept the awards, got a lot of accolades, and good job well done. Of course, that catapulted his career, which we'll get into later. He was now a household name, obviously.
Well, one thing I want to say about there being all the sequels, there could have been, twice as many. It's such a great character that you want to see how his life continues.
Yeah, and I agree. It's funny how sequels are not so much now, but back when these were being made,
No sequels.
there was sequels were
Scoffed at. Yeah.
or they had to be the Holy Grails, like the Indiana Jones trilogy, Star Wars trilogy, the Star Trek movies. They weren't really scoffed at. They were looked at as franchises. The Rocky movies were, by critics and even quote unquote haters of the day, they looked at the Rocky sequels as laughable. It's a weird concept to me, but nowadays it's like that's what everyone is. They're hoping. Every film that's made, they're hoping, please be sequel worthy. Make enough money for us to keep making money off this gravy train. And there's a lot of failed films that I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that they wanted it. So it's just interesting to look how the times have changed. And I remember reading, like in Mad Magazine, they would make fun of it. Rocky Part 6, 7, 8, and it shows him in a wheelchair with an IV. And those who have seen Creed might get a kick out of that because, spoiler alert, I won't say anything because that's a fairly new movie. So there's maybe a little bit of a nod to that idea of the aging process, but they handle it so well. That's realism. That's what aging
That's
does.
why he was nominated for an Oscar.
Yes, he was nominated. MASA robbed again. But
Pardon me?
we're in his apartment now. That's where we are in the movie.
Yeah, we're in his apartment. So the setup's there. So what's happened is he's fought. His victory was $40.
Yep.
You know the neighborhood that he's in?
The neighborhood that he's in, he's kind of a fixture. People know his name. He seems well liked. When he gets to his apartment, he's got his pets. Cuff and Link, his turtles. And Moby Dick, the goldfish.
The humor. Okay, this brings up the humor.
Yes.
Stallone's got a slick sense of humor. It's not in your face like a Vince Vaughn, Owen
Leslie
Wilson,
Nielsen,
Leslie Nielsen.
Naked Gun movies, that type of like, you'll fall down the stairs. O.J. Simpson.
Oh yeah, that guy's a real card.
He's
a real cut up.
he slayed at those jokes, but he was actually quite funny. The naked, say what you want about his personal life. He was a funny. And the Rocky character in those movies did become known for the jokes, and there's so many. And as I watched this again for the umpteenth time today, I thought I was going to try writing down the jokes. It's just they almost came too fast and furious. The one-liners, like when Mickey says to him, and he goes, "You know what you are," and Rock goes, "What?" He goes, "You're a tomato," and he goes, "A tomato?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't run a soup kitchen here." And so like it's like, what does that even mean? Like. It's almost like Mickey calls him a vegetable just so he can say that I don't run a soup kitchen here.
Yeah, exactly. Stallone, though at the time, not a father,
Correct.
full of dad jokes.
Old man humor.
There's the old man humor.
He was old man humor before.
Yeah.
He was, in fact, that his character in the movie, as we'll get to, creates, or as he likes to call it, he invents. He refers to inventions 3 times in the movie. And one of them is the jokes. He calls them his inventions. He refers to them. I invented that joke yesterday. So he doesn't use the word create or come up with. Yeah. It's invent, which I thought I don't know if it's a clever way of coming up with a thought of.
Well, I think that is a good testament to Stallone as a writer for it to come up with those things. Like he does in the movie. I'm pretty sure it's this one. It's what's called a portmanteau, which is 2 words that come together.
Right.
That shouldn't be together. So it's not a compound word.
Right.
When Paulie says instamatically,
that's a great line.
That's a great line because to come up with that, you either got to be brilliant, which I won't say that he is or isn't, but he probably is.
When it comes to screenwriting, let's say, yeah.
But he would have to, in my head, you'd have to know somebody who uses those words. So if I were to talk to Stallone, I would say, who was Paulie?
Right. That's a great
question. Who was Paulie? Because you know those guys that the know-it-all bum who can't really say anything, well, like myself. but that, to put it in a portmanteau of instamatically, because you know that's going to come off usually from somebody who's trying to sound smarter than they are or not or whatever, but it helped paint Paulie as a person.
Absolutely, it's a great what did you call it again?
It's called a portmanteau. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because, like any reader, I know what it looks like.
Well, that's one word.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying portmanteau, like port as in I'm in the Navy, left man, and then the numeral 2. So left man 2. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, portmanteau. So PORTMANTEAU.
Okay.
Portmanteau.
Oh, okay. What I liked about the apartment interaction was we see him practicing with the turtle food.
Okay. Yeah.
And when you're watching it for the first time, you're like, "What's he doing?" You know. So I like those things in movies where you just have to go with the journey. If you're sitting with somebody who's annoying, they might say, "Why is he talking about turtle food? Why is he talking?" We'll get there. You know, and it happens fairly soon after. But I like the idea that he said this turtle food had more flies than moths, which I thought was interesting. Like, and I know I don't think he really counted. You know, the fly to moth ratio, but he wanted a reason to tell a joke.
Yes.
Later that we find out, but during that scene though, it was really cool that he's not doing it with a smirk. He's not doing it in a joking way. He's actually this turtle food has more moths and flies, and he's stumbling as he's practicing. And he goes, "Oh, well, who cares?" So he's actually already kind of frustrated, and we find out later that he's frustrated because he's coming up with jokes and clever quips to kind of break the ice with the girl that he has a crush on. And so we're already seeing that he's already feeling frustrated by his what is when you pursue a girl? You're romancing her, or you're
romancing, trying to woo her,
woo her.
Yeah,
and so he's already starting to feel frustrated with that. And then he looks at his photos in the mirror, which are real photos of him.
Yes.
He's got the mirror. You got
Yeah.
the picture of him. As you said later, he was 8 years old.
Yeah.
It's probably a picture of his high school. His parents are there, and so I find it interesting. He has photos of himself in the mirror. Maybe he's looking at what he used to be. He seems obviously very sad that the child in that photo,
Yeah.
if he saw the man in the mirror, he might have been disappointed where his life is at this point.
And who hasn't felt that? That's
Absolutely.
why it resonates. Who hasn't felt that? Or you look at you in the mirror and you don't recognize who you are. Or you don't.
Would your 12-year-old self
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
happy? Really? This is where you put me?
Speaking of, once you said that, I just had a flashback. Do you remember Mom and Dad's stereo? It had
The silver one?
it had a microphone to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember playing around with that, with the microphone?
Yeah.
Anyways, here we are 30 years later,
Microphone.
playing around with a microphone.
That was quite the microphone too. It was like
It's
the size of a dry eraser.
Yes, it's like almost like a
dry erase marker.
disco era type of
Yeah.
vibe to it. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The recording your voice back then was
I know, it was wild
it's
stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Hey, 12-year-old, 8-year-old selves, your older versions are living the dream, recorded on audio out in the interwebs.
Yeah, I'm gonna look in the mirror tonight, just
Yes.
a little differently. One thing I really like, I never notice in movies, are inconsistencies.
Okay.
I usually don't like reading them because when I watch it, I don't want to be taken away
Right.
from the moment. Because when we're watching a movie, you want to be there. You don't want to be thinking. At least I don't. I don't want to be thinking about anything else. But about a half hour into the film, Rocky is looking at pictures and clippings on the wall.
Right. Which where we're now.
Yeah, and there's the sound of a steam locomotive coming up to speed, along with the sound of its steam whistle. Diesels had long since supplanted steam in Philadelphia and most of the country by 1976.
Wow, that is a pickup.
Isn't that like? Because you know when you see those train fanatics, where you're
Right.
like, I'm into trains,
Sure, they would know.
so they're gonna listen to that. Like, oh, hold on a second here. This is 1976. It's diesel, not steam.
Interesting. So the sound effects guys were a little bit
Yeah,
behind.
yeah. They were behind.
They were behind the curve there.
Well, it's a cutting edge technology there. The diesel trains.
That's interesting. It's an interesting pickup, and kudos to that person who found that flub.
Another flub is in an early scene. Adrian and Rocky they're talking on a street in South Philly, while an elevated train passes in the background. There are no elevated trains in South Philly.
All right, so they must have filmed some parts in Philadelphia and some not in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We know a lot of the majority of the film was in Philadelphia. I'd have to look, Google. But originally they wanted to do all of it in L.A. I understand that, and because obviously that's where the studios are. But they were like, no, this is a Philadelphia movie, and we want to film the majority of it in Philadelphia with the landmarks, and they used them throughout the film. We'll get to those, of course, the big one later. The landmark that everyone's familiar with. Philadelphia actually just became that heart of that film, and the people in Philadelphia love their Rocky.
Oh, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
can you imagine if it was we're from Victoria, Canada? Can you imagine if we had an icon like that? That'd be great.
Well, depending on how this podcast goes, we might have statues
Oh,
of
yeah.
of
Well,
us sitting
wow.
down talking on a mic.
Wow, we could be. Wouldn't that be interesting that we become our own statues because of a character who had a statue?
You had a statue, yeah.
Wow.
Another kind of flub or goof is Rocky, who's supposed to be left-handed, uses his right hand to write down info on collections he's supposed to make in two scenes, and turn to dial on combination lock and begin the movie.
Well, he might have been ambidextrous, and then when it came to boxing,
Yeah, maybe that was his thing, and
yeah,
to keep his his physical self, tip top, got to practice them both.
I can't believe all the times I've viewed that. And I've seen that scene 1,000 times. The locker scene's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
He manipulates everything with his right hand. Interesting.
However, but you did bring up a point. Just because he's a southpaw fighter,
Right.
it doesn't mean he's left-handed.
It's true. They don't ever say that he's left-handed.
He's just a southpaw.
But he's a southpaw fighter. Okay,
Yeah.
well, there we go. So we can... Is it a flub? It's an observation.
I brush my teeth with my left hand,
Hmm.
and I'm right.
How do you cut your meat?
How do I cut my meat?
So you have a steak.
Okay.
Which hand is holding the fork? Which one's holding the knife?
I'd have to. Part of me wants to say that it's fork left, knife right.
What is it? You gotta the stakes in front of you.
I'm right now. I'm trying to. I'm guessing it's right. I think so.
I think most right-handed people will cut with their right and eat with their left.
Well, yeah. I
But
do-
I actually cut with my left
Oh, really?
and eat with my right.
Interesting.
And it was pointed out to me. It was obviously not a conscious choice that I'm going to do this, despite my right-handedness. I'm right-handed, but I had it pointed out to me because somebody asked me while I was eating meat one day, "Are you left-handed?" I'm like, "Well, no. Why would you ask?" Because you're cutting with your left and you're eating with your right. I'm like, "Well, how else would you do it?" Because I always have the fork in my right hand.
Interesting.
So when I learned how to eat meat with a fork and knife, it never occurred to me, well, I always serve with the fork hand. So I just learned to cut with the left.
well, like Rocky,
Oh,
like Rocky
Rocky
Balboa.
I'm a southpaw. I'm a southpaw steak cutter.
You guys have so much in common. I don't know why you're best friends.
Well-
not best friends.
Age difference, maybe.
Perhaps.
Location, station of life.
You might earn a little less than
I
he
might
does.
earn a little bit less. Again, with this podcast and your help. Please donate. Do we have a donate button yet? If you feel the need.
Now, here's the last kind of mistake here. After the announcer finishes announcing the beginning of the first fight, the microphone rises back up to the ceiling. As it rises, it hits the camera and shakes it.
I've never noticed that, and I just saw that today. That's funny. It gives a little bit of a jostle.
Yeah,
Huh. There you go.
not groundbreaking, but one of those things that's
I would imagine they didn't have time or the money or the budget to go back and even do these things. Like, okay, we just have to go with this.
any movie has the potential to be a work of art. I think all of the Rockies collectively, well, they are a work of art. Some more than others. What's your least favorite, by the way?
Least favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone says 5, and I get it.
Yeah.
Even even Stallone was infamously asked in an interview, not a long time ago, but 8 years ago, when he was actually promoting Rambo 4. He was asked to rate the Rocky movies at the time, 1 through 10. He gave Rocky 5 a 0. And I think he was catering maybe to his own fan base, saying, "Yeah, I hate it too." I mean,
Okay, there's a Rambo 4?
yeah, he was Rambo 4.
There's a Rambo 4 8 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2008, 2006.
There was not. Are you talking about Expendables?
No, Rambo 4, 2000. It was called Rambo.
And he was in it?
Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah.
Yes. He played John J. Rambo.
What?
He was like the Burmese. He fought the Burmese.
8 years ago?
Because I think Rocky was 2006, Balboa, and Rambo was
There's a
2008.
Rambo 4?
2008.
Is this called a Rambo?
Come on, you missed it?
Okay, in my defense, I got married in 2008.
So your life was a whirlwind.
What? I missed a Rambo?
I can't believe it.
Okay, well, I'm going to be watching this.
Be prepared. It's violent. It's brutal. He went for the full. It's a short film. It's basically
full
it's
Monty, eh?
yeah. It's basically like a 75-minute, good old fashioned 1980s.
Wow.
Type.
7.1.
What's the rating?
Rating at 7.1.
Yeah,
Okay.
fans loved it. I mean, fans loved the kind of the back to the 80s. It's the same reason why fans loved the brutality of Rambo 4. They hated the non-brutality of Expendables 3, if that makes sense. So they definitely want to see Rambo, or they're calling Stallone Rambo.
Yeah.
They definitely want to see Stallone when he's in the action films to not be soft about it.
Yeah, of course. Wow, that's interesting. I'm sorry, what were you saying? I couldn't focus on what you were saying because I couldn't believe that I missed a Rambo.
Oh, we're talking about Rocky 5, and he gave it a 0.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And let me just say this about Rocky 5.
Please
And,
do.
and I'm sure we'll get into it later, but let me just say it probably is my least favorite because, like most people, he fought outside the ring. The street fight happened outside the ring. And for whatever reason, as a fan and as fans, I think that movie, if it would be an interesting alternate universe scenario, that if Stallone at that moment decided, sorry, Adrian, I'm going back in the ring, this guy betrayed me, betrayed Mickey's training, betrayed my training. I basically got to show this punk kid who's boss. You know, student meets teacher in the ring. And he gives the money to charity.
Yeah, yeah.
So even though he gets the money that the promotion was going to give him, and he fights Tommy the Gun, it just levels him in like 1 round, 2 rounds even. And that's it. I think the movie would not be lauded as horrible. I think I think everyone was on board with the movie, with him losing everything, with him training the project, which I think everyone really kind of enjoyed. And I think what happened was everyone knew this guy's going to get greedy. He's going to turn his back on Rocky. You don't turn your back on Rocky. And Stallone was in very good physical fitness back then. This is the cliffhanger days.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was.
The idea of him in a ring with his shirt off and trunks, I think if he was in the ring and just said, dude, why'd you, and kind of like, why'd you do this? You could have been somebody. But while he's doing that, it pained him to fight him. But he fought him to teach him the lesson of, you know, you could have been me, but now you're like a Clubber Lang type character.
Yeah.
And then I think if it ended like that, and then he won the love back of his son, and his son was in the corner with him, I guarantee you people would not be complaining about Rocky Fight. It was the ending, and it was the street fight that made everyone go, ah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my experience.
Okay.
So my least favorite, but not my least favorite,
Okay.
but my least favorite because of the ending.
Okay. Well, what's your least favorite then?
Well, Rocky 5. But I hate.
Just okay. Just because it's your least favorite, it doesn't mean it's a horrible movie.
No, but people, that's the thing, people hate it. I give it like an 8 out of 10 up until he gets him on the street. He should have gone on the street and said, "No, we're not going to fight here. We will fight in the ring, only in the ring." Just like the promoter was saying. Let's do this in the ring. That was the one good thing that, what do you call that guy? Don King type promoter.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the one good thing that he actually said in the whole movie was, this should be handled in the ring. He was right. Ironically. He was right. So anyways. We'll get to that later, but there you go. There's a segue into the future. Again, spoiler alert.
So you gave it a 8, where the general public, and probably all the listeners here,
5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which isn't that bad considering how much it's hated by fans. But again, I guarantee you that 5 would be probably a 7 or 8 if the movie ended in the ring.
Well, the expectations are so high. If that was like a one-time movie, of course you would have to build the characters and all that, which you don't have to do in sequels. I think it would have more than
Yeah, if it was
5. But it's
Right.
it's being judged
according to the Rockies.
to the other Rockies.
What the fans expected.
Not a standalone.
A ring fight. I guarantee you. So yeah, if it was the only Rocky movie ever made, for whatever reason, at that time, well, that's an interesting career choice for this Mr. Stallone. And then it would have been like, probably 6.5.
Yeah. Okay, well, the original Rocky has an 8. I think 8 is kind of harsh, quite frankly. I think it's a 10.
It's a 10. I'll tell you why it's an 8. Because there's people who give it 1.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's the bell curve.
The haters.
They're gonna go, I hate Stallone, I hate Rocky, I hate everything that Stallone does, I hate the overhype of Rocky. So I guarantee you that bell curve down to the 8, you're gonna have 1s and 10s battling it out.
Okay, we need to get a guest on the show who is a Rocky hater or Stallone hater.
There can't be anybody else.
There has to be. There has to be. I kind of want to mention that the budget for the movie estimated was $960,000, and the gross was 117 plus million.
So definitely, I'm not good at math here, but definitely doubled.
Yeah, it doubled a few times.
And if we do today's, again, inflation, I know you can go to Box Office Mojo, whatever, does the inflation in today's, say that for another day maybe.
Yeah.
But
What Sweden does, which I wish the rest of the world does, it does admissions. How many people saw the movie, opposed to the inflation?
Tickets sold.
Tickets sold. So in Sweden, there were 608,000 people that saw it.
Good for them. Good for you, Swedes.
For those that are interested, tickets sold in the United States for Rocky, 55 million. 40,000. That's a lot of tickets.
That's impressive considering the population of the States 40 years ago was not the same as now.
55 million.
Is that right? 55 million sold.
55 million, according to boxofficemojo.com. It's the 77th all-time attended movie.
Okay.
Right after The Best Years of Our Lives. Never heard of it.
Good stuff.
And the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Ironically.
So more people saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show than Rocky.
I would say because of the continued screenings they do every year.
Perhaps.
Don't they do those events? They
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
pop-
yeah,
is
yeah,
is
yeah.
that the one they throw
Yeah,
popcorn on the screen?
And Toast as well.
It's Toast. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a pretty good start for Act 1.
We didn't even get through the whole act.
We haven't?
No.
What have we missed?
We're still in his apartment.
Holy crap.
So, and well, that's okay though. We talked about this. You know, we're not beholden to any schedule other than our own.
Okay, well let's talk. Let's talk a little bit more.
Sure, where would you like to end it? We haven't even had the infamous meeting of Rocky and Adrian in the pet store for the first time.
Okay, well, okay, let's. Okay, for that, last time I saw it, I was surprised of how unhomely Talia.
She's a pretty woman.
Yeah, she is.
And I guess one of the things you see the transformation in your mind's eye already, so you already know what's under those glasses and hat.
Well, when I saw the movie, I was like a little kid, and so
Right.
for me, that was like an old woman. As a little,
Right.
you know, as like a pre-pubescent boy seeing Rocky for the first time, you know, a 30-year-old woman that's an old woman.
Well, even for us now. It's well, we could just talk about maybe the end with the store meet.
Okay, sure.
Because it's actually really kind of an interesting layout here. So he goes to the store, the pet store, and right away we see him enter the speech or enter the conversation with the joke of more moss than flies,
Yes.
which I always thought was an interesting. I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was more moss than flies, and his turtles weren't crazy about the flies. I think, and he said because they got stuck in their throat. You have to hit them on the back of their shell to get the fly dislodged. And so he's saying all this really quickly, and he asks Adrian, so you know what I give them? Shell shock. And old man humor is great. I love it. Shell shock.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
so, of course, Adrian barely bats an eye. And the boss or the owner of the store says, you know, you're starting off with the bad jokes early today, Rocky. And so Rocky then goes and looks at the dog in the cage. What I like about this scene too was there was that dog in the cage, which I felt really bad for that dog being a small cage, big dog. Thankfully, it's just for filming purposes. But that
the 70s. They were known for
animal cruelty was not a. But so this dog was in this little cage. His name was Butkus. Stallone, that's his dog. And my understanding is that he had to sell Butkus to have money in his pocket to buy food. But when he got the contract for the movie, he was able to buy Butkus back, which I thought was interesting to go back. I can only imagine that conversation. You know, hey, Charlie, I sold you that dog, my dog. I can only. I wonder what the offer back was.
if I can't find the clip and put it into this episode, we'll definitely put. I have that story
Okay.
on YouTube. We'll put that on Facebook.
Perfect.
For those
Okay.
that are interested.
So the one scene I liked out of this scene too is when the owner told Adrian to go down and clean the kitty litter boxes because they're dirty. At that moment, she realized she's so shy and timid. She realized that she had to come out from behind the counter and walk past Rocky. She was using the counter as a blocker. You know, like when you're giving a public talk, it's easier to stand behind a podium than the open.
Yeah.
She did a quick little like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be exposed. So it gives you a little insight to her dysfunctional upbringing of some sort. I dare say she's, if she's not physically abused by her brother, mentally for sure. We see that later. The mental abuse that she got. We don't know why their brother and sister living together this age. There's no parents are ever mentioned. So maybe I would assume Paulie's been taking. It sounds like Paulie's been taking care of her a long time, as he sees it. But we'll talk about the growing up of Adrian later. But right now she's shy, timid, and she's realized she's got to walk past this guy.
But I think we've all felt that at some point.
Sure. Like, do you ever feel? Do you ever feel when you know that you're walking? Yeah, and you can't walk natural. The hardest part about walking is knowing when you're walking. It's like, I'm now walking, and people are watching me.
That's
fact,
weird how we're wired like that.
It is weird because when I watch actors,
Mm-hmm.
I actually think walking is probably one of the hardest things to do as an actor, just to walk that natural gait.
Yeah.
She at that moment knew I have to walk past this guy, and your arms aren't quite right. You kind of So next time you guys walk, as you're probably walking away from this podcast to go to bed, picture how you're walking and how you look with other people as you walk. We end it there.
Absolutely.
I mean, not quite the end of the act, but I mean,
Oh, it's close enough. We'll continue from here next episode. So thanks for going the distance with us.
Did you guys go the distance? So I've never gone this distance on a podcast before, and
Really? You don't listen to the whole episode?
that's my joke.
Oh.
With all I ever wanted to do was go the distance on a podcast, and to prove to the world. And we haven't talked about this, but here's a little teaser.
All right.
Bum. That is a huge insult in this movie. The cast of characters to be called a bum. It's very insulting to the Rocky character and other characters. It's used multiple times.
I think it's you look at Stallone. He got things done. He made things happen. He wrote the script. He did everything. Is there more to it?
There's more.
There's more to that. 'Cause
Well, I mean, yes,
I just think psychologically, here's somebody making something happen.
but Mickey calls him a bum.
Mhm.
He one of my most favorite scenes. So teaser is at the end of the movie, before the fight, is where I think Stallone should have won the Oscar. We'll get to that later.
All right. Till then.
Till then, ding, ding.